Good day, fellow humans. I am in a strange mood today. I woke up without my alarm clock at the right time, which is like a, a perk, a new perk, built-in alarm, because it's been happening more frequently, right? But I was like, I try to do that with everything, but it looks like it would behoove me to fucking not do that shit. Excuse me, messing with my hair. I just had it in my little braid that I do to like protective styling and shit. I'm just feeling like today, and it's the first day of Scorpio season. I think that's why I'm like this. So I went to sleep last night, right? And I watched Ghostbusters before bed. Not the second one, the popular one. That one's the shit. It was the first one because I keep telling y'all I just turn on this TV. Let me see where I'm guided. Maybe today I'll be able to just watch something in peace and it won't have a message. That was not the case, and I'm now getting that's not the case with any horror movie. All those movies are channeled in some way, shape, or form, whether it's from people who are actually in the occult or people who are like extremely gifted. I'm on the fence about Stephen King, but I'm not going to dig in there because I can't lose Stephen King. I have lost the extreme admiration that I had for so many extremely talented. I don't want to just call them famous. They're famous because they're extremely talented in most cases. For so many people who are well known, all because I was participating in their art, like listening to the music or watching their film or reading their book. And then suddenly my mom was like, yeah. So today, when I woke up, and it has to do with this whole me being stuck thing. It turns out this is a ripple. My favorite Bible story when I was growing up was Job. I know, a weird one, right? I was a weird kid anyway. I tell y'all this all the time, but I didn't even tell y'all about the phase before the Stephen King and the Goosebumps and the Christopher Pike books, right? Uh, it actually started with Bible books because we had my grandmother who was Jehovah's Witness, and we had my great grandmother who was raised by nuns because she was the only daughter of 12 boys, and they were like, you can't have a girl in the house with this many guys. So they took her and raised her with the freaking nuns. So she was Catholic. Then my mom was like Baptist, and my dad is atheist. Like he believes in God. So I don't know if atheist is the term. He believes in something up there, but he doesn't like. I think they religioned him out before they got to me to religion and wear me out. But as gifts all the time, they used to bring me Bible stories. It'd be like little fat books this big. And it didn't help that my mom was really like the poor one in the family. So every time we got Christmas presents and stuff like that, they would come from the churches and the like shelters. So it would be more Bible stuff. So I knew like all of them. I'm like Ruth, Esther, and all the bitches, right? So Job is the one that got me. So if you don't know the story of Job, even though I think everybody does, but different religions, let me just pretend like so Job was the man. Job had it all. He had his wife, he had his kids, he had his farm. Job was very obedient to God. His life was lit, right? So the devil saw him and he was like, yo, God, come over here, player. That's the way I'm gonna put it in my head. He was like, hey, I see you got this man named Job, and he seems like he's doing really well, but I bet if I knock his ass around a couple times, he won't be as loyal as he appears to be. He's only like this because you're giving him stuff. And God was like, say less. Go ahead, give it a try. I bet you he's still on my side. And I think that's the test we're all under, right? So the devil wore Job's ass out. Took his kids, took his wife, took his cattle, took his health. By the end of his chapter, uh, Job was just sitting outside naked in a diaper with blisters saying, dear God, I know there's a reason for all of this. I'm staying faithful. It is really hard. Please come through. Right? It's at this moment that I guess God says, hey, it's enough of that. It's been a couple years. He still ain't folded. Get out of his face. And the devil goes, all right, bet. So Job then gets back, although I mean, a new wife and more kids and more stuff than he ever had before as a reward for his loyalty during the time that he was tested, and he didn't even know he was being tested. He just trusted in God. That's what I woke up with today. I just told y'all the story about daddy in the crossroads, right? The only opportunity that I've been offered to get out of this, because every time I pick a house or something, suddenly it's gone off the market, is when 211's cousin messaged him about a program uh, that will pay for all of your stuff to move into a new place. Uh, no issue. What was the name of the program? The Crossroads. All of this came together in a combination of me realizing, oh, I'm being jobed. I'm being shook. That's what this is about. This is not the first life this has happened. And so this is where stuff got difficult, because there was a life where I was I hate to say it, religious figure. My husband was a religious figure, and I was just like sort of there backing him up. So therefore I became a religious figure too. But after he died, I tried to keep it up without him. And men ain't like this. This was a Arabic life, by the way, if you want to get any idea of that. And yes, my name was still Aisha. Two people wrote me this week by the correct spelling of my name. My parents didn't even spell my name correct. I'm going to change it one day because this ain't it. It's with a Y. So in that life, they caught my ass and they locked me in a room, in a prison with one window, just one window. And I was assaulted on a regular. I was starved. And it was just because they hated what I was saying about God, right? But as I was in that prison, praying, waiting for God to respond, I heard another voice. And that other voice was like, hey, see, when you hear me talk like that, just know who it is. It's like, hey, you ain't got to be in here. I can get you out like that while you're waiting on God. It was very tempting. And I did that shit. Keeping 100, because now all my memories back. I'm like, damn, I cried a lot about many past life memories that I didn't understand why this life was what it was, but this was the culmination of all the other ones. So I'm in prison, and he's like, just say yes. Just say yes, and you can get out of here. Yeah, I agreed, and I got out. Like literally, then the guard came and opened the door, and I walked out. None of the other guards said anything, and he instructed me to keep myself covered. And from that point on, my MO just like even in other stories, I can't wait till one day when this all comes together. My MO in any of the other stories that are actually Aisha, uh, I have a hoodie. You can't see me. I'm in a cloak. And that's just because my face or whatever is remarkable. Most people recognize me by my voice first. Like they might not see it when they see me, or they might like, you sort of familiar, like your energy is familiar or something. But when you hear my voice, and especially if you hear me sing, you don't know who the fuck I am. So I got out, and he like had me routed to Africa. It was a lot of work in between there. But once I got there, it was like the other end of the tale. Uh, because he requires souls for his assistance. He'll give you anything you want, but every now and then you just gotta like sit on some people like it's nothing. Like, no, that's really not okay. In that life, because of that time that I had spent in jail and the whole life before that, it was just really, I don't think that could have went any other way. I'll finish that tale another time because like what? But that was not the first or the last time that happened. There was another time that I believe also is linked to this one, because I had all my witch bitches, and we were cool. And I believe a lot of you were probably here. We were really cool at first, and it was going well till, and this is Spain, by the way, till somebody snitched on us. And it is my belief that it was him. Like he doubled deals. So I got wind that we were about to get like arrested and shit, right? Arrested. But he told me that I would not have time to save anybody else. If I had went back and said anything at that moment, that I would have compromised everything. I wouldn't have been able to save anybody. So I left. I didn't tell anybody what I foresaw. I didn't use my gift to help anybody at that moment. I left before it started. Oh, the feelings again. But it turns out he lied. I would have had enough time to tell the rest of my woes, and then we could have left together. So on my head at the end of that life, I'm sitting out in a cabin in the woods, pretty much. Uh, as all the people that believed in me got killed, tortured, murdered, just for him to hold that over my head. But his thing at the end was like, "Hey, see, you don't have anybody but me," and that's sort of kind of where you get stuck. Like when people trigger warning, I guess, decide to unalive themselves, it's because that voice is the only one you hear at the very bottom of the darkness. The one stuck in Tartarus is the one that you hear like, "Hey, hey, what's up?" Because you got to be down bad. Uh, was down bad then, and I think that this page and even the like Hypatia life with the librarian Alexandra were all about me making up for the time that I listened to him and left everybody. When I found out about this bomb and all that stuff, what was my instinct? And I was like, nobody's gonna believe me anyway. Why do I have to tell anybody about this? And that's what he always gets me with. Like, if you tell people, they're gonna kill you, they're gonna hate you. And he has not been wrong, but it's the fact of the matter that he's sending the people that kill and hate me. It's sadistic, if you will. But I decided I can't not say nothing to people. I don't care if they think I'm crazy. I never want to feel the way that I now know I felt having to sit out in the woods and be fully aware and connected to the hive of people to know that they are being tortured to death because they believed that I would protect them from it or that I would at least have the foresight to guide them out. Like this was just me and my woes, and we learned how to do stuff. And men don't like that. So I didn't even think I was getting into all of this when I got on this camera today. But it is the first day of Scorpio season. And those stories are the basis of my Scorpio story. The reason I'm able to tell y'all so much, even the secrets and the celebrity stuff, is because some of those people are people that I used to be in alignment with. But this life, I said I was not going back. Hence why I am stuck in this room with one window. Oh my goodness, I'm so triggered again because he's trying to put the pressure, trying to put the brakes on me. So it is at this point that I continue to rock with God. That's don't worry about that. Because part of the fear that is trying to be instilled in me is that even talking about this will run off certain people, a particular person also. But if I can't be honest, if I can't be myself, I'm already going to lose because that's how you get you, right? My kids made me watch it. We were bonding. And I'm like, hold on, y'all might have just did something here. I think I understand. You can't hit on or pull out your shadow and all your shadow needs and wants and your fears and your inadequacies and all those icky parts of yourself that you hide if you don't hide them or if you make peace with them. Like, yeah, I used to ritually sacrifice people, but like that was another life. It's one thing if it's this life. So, Scorpio season, the theme is going to be, as usual, the shadow. But how many people can really make peace with their shadow? I don't believe that I've been given my memory back for nothing. Although my Mercury is in retrograde, which means that Mercury is your memory in your chart. It means that it's meant to rewind over time. In between all those lives, when I got punished for the sacrifices I was doing, because sometimes I'll be the hero and sometimes I'll be the villain. That's why I can't even choose. Like I've been the best and I've been the worst while I've been here. But when I was in between, I like tapped in when somebody else tapped out. I was not in my body per se. When somebody went through a traumatic event or they didn't want their life anymore, anything, I jumped in like quantum leap and I would just finish that life out to the end. So when I first started doing my past life memories, it was really confusing. Like, why is there so many like significant people? But I was bound to servitude by him for the times that he had helped me when I was a human in my physical body. This is my first time looking like me. I don't even know how long. Since like at least ancient Egypt. Like when was the last time I was able to look in the mirror and see me? It wasn't that. You become all different people. You are what the system needs you to be at that moment because you are a puppet when you get logged into one of these deals. It is my belief that in this life, originally, maybe I was supposed to turn into a villain. Maybe everything that happened to me was supposed to make me a statistic. And God's real. Because I'm not. None of the stories I've heard, I've been around situations where seedy things were going on, but I was like covered. And that's what I keep hearing, like I'm being covered. Even in my discomfort, even in my frustration about everything that's going on here, I'm covered. I'm not starving. My children aren't starving. Y'all, even when everything got snatched from me, when this Job thing started, when I was living in the car with the kids, when we came back and we ended up getting a house, all of us had gained at least 20 pounds. That's crazy, right? We're homeless, but we didn't starve. We was in a van, and then some days we were in hotels, and we just made the best of it because we were in Hollywood. So we would sleep at like the Palisades or next to the ocean and watch the surfers in the morning. It's like finding the joy in just being alive, even when everything in this world tells you you're not something if you don't have A, B, C, or D. I can now confirm you don't know what you did the life before this or how much progress you've made in this life. You cannot put yourself in a mold. Nobody can put themselves in a mold. As a matter of fact, I think the mold was created to make you feel less than. Just think about it. Wasn't going to get into this, but I probably should because I went and looked at Will and Jada's charts and I was like, y'all need to mind y'all business. Y'all don't even know. But sometimes there's a whole backstory that makes the difference for why this life is what it is. Y'all were thinking that real love is mom and dad and kids last till the end. They're old, they're faithful, they get through anything. How many people do you know that have that? But how many people do you know break up relationships because they were aiming for that their whole life and never got to it? They give us this idea of a family on these programs, guys, in a box. It's the box of Saturn, by the way. Then they give us the computer and all these devices, which are called the Apple. Like, they're fucking with us. They're demons. They're tricksters. This is what they're supposed to do. The problem was people assumed that they were hideous, like bottom feeders. That's what happens to a soul that has been contracted too long. They digress into that lower version. A daemon, a fallen angel, baby, no, no, no. They are intelligent. They used to be the teachers of humans. They created you guys. They are the Anunnaki. So if you get an actual demon, that's completely different, or you owe a contract to one, that's totally different. So after I finished the video yesterday, remember I was talking about a certain person who had an energy vampire sit on them and consequently lost their life. And there was a song that somebody channeled. I don't think she realized she channeled it, of him singing from in between, from him singing in the further. He's in one of them levels of hell, being held until the person that formed the contract or sold him out comes to take his place and then he'll be released. Right? I went back to my phone. Y'all keep in mind, I did not say this man's name. I did not mention the film. I didn't mention anything. But the answer to who did it came up on my phone as a suggested, maybe mess up my word, suggested for you post. I didn't want that information. And I don't know if that's God or something else, but every time I don't want to know the answer to something, I know the answer to mad stuff I didn't actually want to know. I don't know why that is. But that full circles to let God be your only, and I don't even want to say idol, Let the universe, let your connection to source be the main thing you follow. It's okay to look at people as archetypes to understand things, but don't, no role models. Like, that's not what was supposed to happen. I think that was sort of kind of what Jesus was trying to say. And then some people don't rock with Jesus, which is cool. He came back a bunch of times as other people too. I was watching biographies and I think sometimes it'd be Jesus that I'd be talking to as I'm watching biographies, because yeah, it just switches. They can talk to whoever can hear them. Um, I was watching biographies and it was one on Rasputin. And as I'm listening to the story of Rasputin, I'm like, this sounds really familiar. So it was at that moment that I'm gonna say that no, it's totally Jesus. That's one of the closest asteroids to my Mercury in my chart, right? Was explaining that he came back many, many times since that time that everybody remembers, since the time that it was like held up. He comes back every lifetime. He's sort of on auto spawn. He's even here right now, just waiting for stuff to go down. Um, all things for a reason. I was like, I had a point there, but like, Jesus. Auto spawn, every life, Rasputin. Watch a Rasputin documentary with the open mindset of recognizing the patterns between the life of Jesus and the life of that character. Immediately, because of Anastasia, I used to assume he was evil because of what was going on in there. But when I watched the story, like, hold on. He was supposed to be like a healer dude. And then people didn't like him and tried to kill him a bunch of times. He just wanted to drink and hang out with his hoes, which is the pattern I keep telling you was removed from the original story, because it doesn't make Jesus look as good that he has vices. They didn't want him to look like an actual person that fell down and got back up again. That's the piece that is missing, the fall down to get back up again, which is sort of kind of why I think I had to do this whole diary today, to let y'all know, even if you had a contract for ABC ahead of time, it can get changed. The person from that movie, the thing that I was just telling y'all about, she didn't. Oh, damn, I said she. See, that's why I can't know shit, because I'll slip up. Okay. She didn't join gang uh, in order to make that sacrifice. She was able to recognize signs the same way I am. Some people are intuitive, the same way that when I was in that jail cell and there was no internet, no nothing, no summoning, I was able to hear that spirit tell me that it could get me out. That same spirit came to this girl and like directed her to how to do the thing so that she would benefit from the death of one of her castmates. So just know you don't gotta join gang for you to be recruited. Recruition, is that a word? None of these words were real at first. I can make them up. Recruition is occurring. It's all right. It's draft time, guys. That's the best way to put this. It's South Node in Libra, North Node in Aries. North Node in Aries is because it's war. North Node in Pisces will be all karmic events. So I think everything that's going on will be going on during that time, because then when the North Node hits, uh, shit. What comes after that? I'm like, hold on, it's Pisces. No, it's Virgo next. So that's healing. I hate how the North Node runs backwards because it makes my wires go. Okay, so no, after Aries comes backwards. Don't revoke my astrologer thing. It's like math. Like, hold on, if I ain't got a calculator, I can't. I think it's North Node and Pisces, South Node and Virgo. Yes, that is correct. Ah, ha, ha. Had to stop thinking to get the answer sometimes. So yes, no, the next 4 years are going to be tribulation. Hmm. Okay, so you can get recruited. That voice can come to you. You're being purposely pushed into a darker spot. You have to find something to ground your faith in. And you have to be very, very sure of who you are, yourself, your weaknesses, your shortcomings, your crimes, your indiscretions, all that shit you got to be okay with, because that's what's going to come at you. Most people are taken out with their own shit. It's not an outside person. It's somebody who couldn't deal with what was going on in here. For instance, Kurt. I talk to y'all about Kurt Cobain all the time because his spirit is still lingering in between because the person who sold him out is still alive. So he's just burning in an endless dream too. But he's sort of been there so long that he's smart. Not all of them are necessarily smart. There are some people that are still on these screens that we see that aren't even there anymore. Like they got bumped out of their body. So they are attachment on the outside while the body is going in auto. I don't know if those are called walk-ins, but like you can tell the difference. Like you ever have a favorite celebrity or something, and then suddenly their whole MO changes from the person they were in the beginning, like the music don't rock the same no more, their persona, like their life is downhill. That's what happened there. There's an answer. If you get recruited by gang gang, don't join them either. Don't, because that's even worse because that's the human version. That's the 3D version. At least with the demon version, you just wait till you die and then you're tortured in hell. No, here it's humans and humans are sadistic. Y'all, I've been waiting to talk about this. I had to have enough people that knew I wasn't crazy to talk about it with. So when George Floyd died, y'all, I'm nosy. But I'm nosy and I had never found anything before. That's I told you I'm a Scorpio at the core. So it's detective energy, psychologist. So I want to know why this happened. Could it have been prevented? So I called up Floyd, like his ghost. Yes, yes, I did. He transitioned like a couple months after the actual event. As far as him being able to speak, sometimes they can't speak like they're stunned. They have to watch the events after their death unfold organically so they can see the full value of their life. So I always respect. My nose is running. This has been happening a lot. I wonder if that has something to do with me like using different places in my brain or something, because I did not used to have that problem. And it's only when I'm channeling or doing stuff like this. So freaking I called him up because I wanted to know. Hey guy, what happened? And so he was gang gang, right? Keep in mind, I'm just dreaming. It's just he was gang gang and he got called to assist with something. According to him, they can just call you. Once you join them, it's like a phone number. You just answer, they'll get you. And you know you gotta go because you agreed. He didn't know exactly what it was for. They don't tell you what you're being used for, what the thing is. You just got to show up A, B, C, and D and do this thing. Okay, he was under the impression once he arrived where he was supposed to be that it was just going to be something that was manipulating the media because a lot of times they do stage these events to manipulate the people for whatever agenda they have coming up next. Uh, in his mind, he knew it was just revolved around a police officer. He was at their location waiting for a police officer to show up for whatever his contribution was going to be. He did not know that he was going to die. If he knew that he was going to die, he would have ran away instead. I kept that to myself. As I'm like, who the hell are you going to tell? What difference is it going to make? How's this evidence ever even going to come out that a man is just, he thought he was just joining Masons. He thought he was just part of a lodge. He never thought that he would be called for something like that or killed for something like that. It was just a matter of the fact that he was available at the time that they needed a guy to do this thing. I sit him. I let it be. Help him like move on. Like, thank you, Mr. Floyd. I am so sorry that happened to you. And that's the thing that he wanted his girlfriend to know. He would have never went. It wasn't worth it. They would have left together. So if she ever sees this or somebody or whatever happens, because clearly I'm talking about it for a reason, he deserved peace because his sacrifice, as Neo put it, changed a lot of stuff. About a year later, this man named Mr. West did an interview. And in his interview, he said something like, he watched a documentary. Oh, I wish I remember exactly what it was, but he just gave me the piece that I needed, like that validated what I had talked to this ghost about. He said that Floyd prayed with his friends for like 8 minutes before he left because he had received the call that they needed a guy and he had to be the guy to go. And I was like, ooh. Like, no, this was a setup to get those people to protest because they need the energy. That's why they recorded it. That's why that man did not move his foot off his neck and why he did not look like he gave two fucks when he got sentenced. Because according to us, he went to jail, right? You don't see him anymore. But I don't think that's where that man is, y'all. I think Floyd took the L, but that other man was also gang gang. He looked like he was taking the L in front of the world to make everybody feel better, but that man is not in jail. That man is somewhere very comfortable. Now, will they like show us every now and then clips of him in jail or a jail-like place? Yeah, because that's easy. There's nothing to that. But everything else was done in the background because shady shit. I was curious about where I was pulling this shit for the United States. Like, why am I saying all this stuff? I don't want to know. This is game. My sun and my Mars are in America's eighth house. That's their Scorpio house. All their secrets. And boy, does this place have secrets. I did not understand why the Most High would allow that bomb to come. It didn't make sense to me, but I started getting other people who came to me who were having dreams about the fallout of what occurs afterwards. Even planes falling out the sky, which is only cohesive with what I got about them knocking out the electrical grid first. Like they knock out whatever it is that our technology comes through so that we don't have communication or see what's actually coming. But it's because the United States is the cancer that is poisoning the rest of the planet. It can't go on. This is New Babylon. Between the things that they are doing with trafficking throughout the world, drugs, and then the original deal. I saw somebody in the comments because I said the colonizer deal. Oh, now I got to go pull up the United States chart. So yeah, I don't never know what we be getting into here, but I'm gonna listen when I'm told to. Listening to the right one though. You can tell the difference between God when God is talking to you. I will tell y'all at least that. Because when the other energy kicks in, it's like, I'm not supposed to talk to you. It's just everything has a frequency, it has a signature. This that bad dad energy has definitely a jigsaw feature. Keep that in your mind. The way I separated in my head, I had to make sure I put it with archetypes so I know. Don't just pop up trying to talk to me. I can tell when something is off. I can tell when something's close, right? So when it's bad dad, it's jigsaw that I like programmed in my head to to respond. But when it's good dad, it's Morgan Freeman. You got to do what you got to do because these spirits they play, and it's not just me. It's just I'm blessed enough to be gifted to recognize what is what, but a lot of people aren't. A lot of people get led down the wrong hole because they got too low in the frequencies. Your radio picks up the tree of death stronger after you get bored. Everything above boredom is like in creation energy. It helps you thrive or whatever. So I'm about to share the United States chart. Let's get into this original colonizer contract before I do my actual channel message for today. I think I like this format though. I hope y'all don't mind me talking y'all heads off. That'd be stuff that's stressing me. Like I should not have to deal with this alone. And then at the very least, I have a video time capsule for the future that might be very important. Like, hey, why not? Why not? I'm doing what my higher self in this case has gotten me to do. So I said the original contract that the United States had was made in blood, of course, as we can see by how they got it in the first place. But they made a deal with an entity in order to own the United States. I see their Saturn. Their Saturn is at the 14th degree. That's a Taurus degree, right? in Libra, what did these people agree to? I believe it was a certain number of sacrifices, but I can get the ping. I just always need to verify it. I don't ever want to be like, yes, yes, that is what it is. Because people deserve evidence, peace, in knowledge. And I believe that you can find the truth anywhere. If it's real, it's going to pop up somewhere, somewhere. It's not just going to be in your head. So that Saturn in 10th is a guaranteed reputation. Their Taurus energy is ruled by Capricorn. That's sign number one, because that's the builder, that's the goat. But there, you see, their North Node is in 8th. They were going into debt. Oh, I think I see it. South Node in Aquarius in 2nd. This is an entry. The 2nd house is the pearly gates, right? So they were supposed to be working for the people, for the value, for the people. And I was just, he was supposed to be working for the people first, right? That was the reason they were gifted, so to speak, or where they started. When they made the deal, they said they were going to make this a better place. That's what South Node in Aquarius is. Rising from whatever happened from the other country and starting something new here. They were going to be based on family values. That's what they promised to be. But that North Node in 8th, that means they accrued debt for their ego, for their pride, for their greed. And I'm saying that because the ruler of their 5th house is Taurus. The 5th house rules Leo. So altogether, greed is what caused their downfall, which makes sense because of the shit that's going on here. But having Cancer in the 8th house is also that pedophilia, child trafficking stuff that I keep freaking picking up on is based here. If their energy for their South Node and what they were being reviewed on is based on their 11th house, let me hit these transits on y'all. Okay, is this the right date for transits? Oh no, this is October 13th. I ain't changing my shit in 10 days. That's how fast time goes for me. Let me hit these transits for y'all, show y'all what I just realized. Their 11th house that is ruling all their karma, or where they're being judged right now, is in Scorpio. The sun just started in Scorpio. So where's my transmission coming from? I feel so much better. I'm like, why am I having to talk about this? But that's why their contract is up. Look at Baal in their chart, which is another name for Hasatan, for Jigsaw. The North Node is lined up with that. This is his house. This is his house. The 28th degree is a household degree. Do I want to pull? What do they owe? I feel like I know what they owe. Like it's everything. This whole country ain't y'all's no more. Y'all did not do what y'all said y'all were gonna do it. And that's gonna start coming out over like the next 30 days. Like it hasn't already, right? But whatever happens during the next 30 days is going to be crucial little pieces in the puzzle for people like you and I who are watching, because certain stuff is about to take off. Now, hold on. This is exactly why I said I was going to start recording and doing videos on a private part of my website, so I can't have stuff taken down. I don't have to worry about YouTube or anything, because I feel like I'm supposed to be doing these detective videos with you guys and actually going through the research and the stuff that pulls up and all that, because it'll help other people learn their gifts. I also was told that I was following the 100 monkey rule for what I was teaching. And the 100 monkey thing is an experiment where they found out that every time 100 people in one hive learn something, it starts to spread to the other ones. So the thousands of people that came were amazing. But every time I get a post, I try to make sure it made it to at least 100 people. Like I see other people who are like, these algorithms are not allowing people to see. Sometimes I go viral and then my numbers get messed up because it goes back down. I made a promise to myself that I'm not going to base what I share on what's going to be popular, because that's the first trip to your downfall. That's the first step to you starting to be inauthentic. When you see something makes you more popular, and you're like, all right, well, I'll do more of this. So no, I'm just going to continue to be me. But I do know that if I want to dive into talking about things like I did today, I need to put it somewhere else. I have a area on my website that I'm going to be bringing up. That's going to be a monthly thing. I have been struggling with pricing, and it's a mess. I don't need to worry about all of that because it's stopping me from doing my job. I need to charge my worth and then give other options for ways to learn as a balance, because it's not working with me making myself affordable for everybody and having to take care of my gifts the way I need to. That's like me accepting every opportunity to come play an instrument knowing that I need time in between for my instrument to be cleaned and all that stuff. It means that eventually, over time, if I just wear it out, my instrument won't even play the same, and I can't do that. So I just felt the need to say that, like, if anybody's waiting on a reading or anything like that, I would rather you inbox me and check in, or just ask for a refund than to pop up all the time like, hey, because it's not that I don't want to get it done right away. It's that sometimes my channels are literally clogged for a multitude of reasons, whether it's information like this is coming in that's important, or it's because I got jigsaw on my ass, because uh technically I bring in a good number of souls usually. He went back his best hitter. So he's on my ass. And that's really, really uncomfortable because I watched scary movies my whole life, but I didn't know it was real like that. I think my soul did, and it was just trying to remind me the whole time. Like, I used to creep my dad out all the time. And I wasn't even doing anything. I'd just be like in the kitchen. He'd be like, what you doing? I'm like, nothing. He's like, all right, you're just so weird. But he called me dark. I'd be like, it's my soul. Some people can feel my signature, but this is transmutation life. That's why I am telling you guys all this stuff. Clarity. I will include myself in it. I haven't done anything in this life to be clear. I have not summoned. I have not, just been watching as things unfold around me. So this brought up the fact that this morning, what went across my screen, this guy, don't know what he was doing. Oh, but look, here we go. Updates 20 minutes ago. Doing things he has no business. And I think that's so funny, because when it comes to news and stuff like this, I'll be looking at it like, what is foreign policy? I go blonde when it comes to like legislation and all that other stuff. But I really think that helped me. I wasn't indoctrinated, if you will. I'm not bound to the laws and rules of uh, foreign law and policies. I don't know none of that. All I know is something came through me and said that there is a force that is going to be coming through this dude in order to push the button that sends out a missile that finally supplies enough souls for the big bad to release from Tartarus. What would that look like here? We wouldn't see it. One of my favorite movies. This is the end. And I guess the fact that that is one of my favorite movies, that's top 5. I think that's number 3, y'all. I love that movie. But so, and this is the end. You see that everything starts falling apart. It's earthquakes and all that stuff. But then after a couple weeks of this group of people being stuck inside during the apocalypse, after the rapture already happened, they can't go outside because like the beast done took over the earth. And then at the end, there's like the big devil dude who comes out with his slong. Like, we won't see that, but it will still be going on. How does that play out? Oh, train collapsed here. This volcano, such and such here. Swarms of bees, such and such here, right? All because there are entities that got out of the dark place that are starting to throw stuff over. The people are going to be acting up. The ground is going to start quaking, shaking. Just all the bad stuff is going to ramp up. And everybody will be like, oh my gosh, what's going on? But it's because you won't be able to see, or if you're lucky, you won't be able to see that there are actual astral beings that are walking around on a plane above us that can very clearly see what we're doing, but we can't see them. That was the last thing that got said in that Ghostbusters film before I said, fuck this, and went to sleep. He was explaining how when the gate master and the keeper of the keys come together in sexual congress, that it opens the gate for the big bad. But the big bad comes along with all the other guys. At that moment in the film, they started showing like it was Slimer hanging out, like people in the streets were running because they could actually see astral stuff. The devices and stuff became possessed. That's the same way Atlantis ended, though, guys. There is a movie called the Hidden Human History movie on Spirit Science, but the version I want you guys to look for is called the Atlantean Catastrophe. Spirit Science Channel. At the end, when there becomes a tear, and it was an occult group that did this tear then too, tried to do a summoning to start certain things, to move them from one portal to another. It ripped something in the time-space continuum. That place is now known as the Bermuda Triangle. But at that time, it allowed a lot of 2D beings to come up. What happens is these beings can't get into a human body. They're lower level. They're vampires, but they're not like regular vampires. It's just like energy, like, and it's 11:11. So these beings stick on to the humans, start changing their energy, changing their behavior because they're just latching on. That is the end of a, what is it called? It's precession of the equinox, which is a flipping of the poles. But for us spiritually, it is the marking of a leap in consciousness, an end and a beginning to something new. Okay, so with that being said, I just got a ping. Look at me just saying. I feel like a sim sometimes. Like I understand that I am the sim and my person is like controlling me, but I'm like, girl, what you doing? So what is being pulled out of the closet this Scorpio season? What is being pulled out of the closet this Scorpio season? Appropriate. This is anger in chains, and then not just say anything that you don't have handled and fated to suffer. You see that apple, y'all? This is leftover pain, leftover anxiety, any part of you that felt like your life is not what it's supposed to be because of bullshit that done happened to you. That's what's being pulled up for this test. The test of Scorpio season, because the test of Capricorn season is even, I think, harder on people. Y'all notice how most people unalive themselves during the holidays or just get really depressed? The Capricorn energy, what that does, I think the Sagittarius is supposed to be like the relief in the middle of these two dark energies. And they're only dark because they're being used for ritual. The Capricorn one is like material depression. My aunt used to get sad when she saw Christmas commercials because she'd be like, why are they showing stuff like this? Not everybody has the money to afford. And that's what happens. Everybody starts thinking about their life, how it's going. How's it going in comparison to family? And a lot of times the family you're born into are the killer pop people. They are just replicas of the people that you still had beef with in the last life. I was pulling cards, right? And I kept getting goblin. Like the fuck is a goblin? What's a goon to a goblin? Lil Wayne, greatest poet of our lifetimes. So I'm like, what is a goblin? I can't figure it out. But this. I referred to them, I think that was yesterday, as putties. As the people, I say people, but you know, the things that are in charge of making sure you don't complete your contract, to make sure that you end up back in hell where they can eat you, eat your soul energy. All I did was type in kilopath, and then what do you see? Goblin. That's what's getting released during the hunt. So it's not only the big people, the big entities, but like little dudes. And these are the dudes who would stick on you. If you would like to further understand this, one of my favorite, as usual, one of my favorite, I love movies, probably for this reason. Odd Thomas. That's gonna sum up so much. And the fact that the main character in the film died like one of the first deaths in the movie, and it's not a horror movie, it's just I think it's not a you can't trust me on what's a horror movie and not. I've been pushed, so some stuff don't scare me and it makes other people uncomfortable. But in looking for that goblin information, I came across this. Remember, I told you guys that the tree of death stopped at Hecate and Thamiel, right? On that other thing I was showing you, that the big bad, the real big bad, was hidden behind it. Now, this is a different version of that chart, but this one shows you that behind where she is on the other tree, like I said, the big bad who's playing the puppeteer is here. Another thing I got was that each daemon, each fallen angel, the contract that they make with you is based upon their pain. It's like they want to spread their misery. So, for instance, in Lucifer's case, what do you lose? Oh, you lose your heart. He requests that you give up your heart. You give up what you actually love because he gave up what he actually loved. That was the price he paid. In the case of Bad Dad, who has a multitude of names, right? You give up your mother or you give up your son because those are the things he gave up in order for humans to have their life. Because keep in mind, this is God's shadow, like separate, like the evil twin. He gave up his son. Technically, Michael has to come to Earth all the time, and he can't hang out in heaven with his dad because he's down here trying to save the souls of his other siblings who got stuck down here in the simulation. In the shadow, there's an upset that turns it into the contract you get. Okay, you can have the world, you can rule the world, but you either give me your mother, which is what I don't have, or you give me your son, which is another thing I don't have. Lilith wants your innocence. Interesting. See, that's why I don't stay on stuff like that too long. I'll go and I'll look at it, I'll research, and I'll go look somewhere else because as soon as I go to do it, I automatically like tap into like not fucking with these beings. So goblins. Goblins attached to people make them act out of character. You ever be real cool with somebody and suddenly they act stink towards you? What's a goon to a goblin, baby? Oh, I don't even remember what my channel message was supposed to be. It's Scorpio season. Just know this is where I get dragged mentally. I think maybe some people needed to know this is coming through to understand the logistics. It's not enough to just be told, just pray. You don't know why, just pray because God will be there. Some people need the ability to connect the dots, the logic behind it. Why am I praying? Why would I cover my head? You would cover your head. Why the people wear the hijabs? Because the first things that the fallen angels were intrigued with was the hair of the women. It made them lust for them, which is crazy. But I mean, ever since I started growing my hair out, I found myself sexier too. But that's why they were covering. That's why the women weren't showing their bodies because what it did was it let the fallen angel see them. And then that fallen angel was like, I kind of need to ride that. So what they would do was somehow convince a human man to become drunk so that they could enter its body. And then that spirit would then, I guess, force itself. I couldn't say the R word, force itself on the women or to kidnap the woman or whatever the case may be, because you just let that daemon in your body who fell in love with that bitch's hair. So covering your head had a reason. Not having sex before marriage was to make sure that your energy wasn't siphoned by a different being first. Every one of these rules that just seemed like they were hater shit actually had a reason behind it. And this one is touch and go. Although I know like it what the reason is. I just don't like having to say this shit. But even the homosexuality one, you noticed it wasn't like they didn't mention lesbianism. I don't think they thought about it. But the reason that they were deeming homosexuality as something that got you stuck to hell is because the perineum, that's where your root chakra is, all in that booty area, right? So when violence is done as sometimes the sex is rough, I guess, that automatically creates loose energy and it creates a pull, a connection to the other world, which is feeding off of you. So it's not the act of homosexuality. It's just like the book was horrible at explaining stuff because it wanted you to trust blindly without looking into things. If it would explain, like, hey, you use this area as a delicate tantric lovemaking experience that raises both people, as opposed to jailhouse double fisting. I told y'all I tried to go on the hub recently. I just wanted to see some stuff I was experimenting because I wanted to try to see if I can match charts to sexual activity, sexual behavior, understand sexual energy more. I couldn't do it. If this is what is on the legal web, could y'all imagine what is on the dark web? I don't even want to. Like I said, I try not to tap in. I can't think about anything too hard or I start getting an answer and it just ruins my day sometimes. So burn it all. I don't like mean like off the ball, but nothing. But this structure needs to fall. It's like the United States has become a buffet for evil. That's it. That's what everything is about to happen. Is about to happen. In order to save everything else from going down to Mother Earth and the angels that protect it, sort of work with the ones that are meant to be the bad guys to clear off what is throwing off the balance. You can't just look at it as good and evil, is what I'm getting, because everything has a perfect place in the scale. Evil's going to exist regardless. Good is going to exist regardless. Like if too much good was being done, then they'd have to release some evil in. But if too much evil is being done, ironically so, bigger bad guys come take out the local bad guys. So, dear universe, what was my channel, or the point of my channel message today? What was the message that I was delivering, or am delivering, from behind the glass yet again? I didn't even do nothing this time. I've been good. And to find out that all of this stemmed from my divorce, because I asked God, like, or I told God I wanted to come back home. Like, I'm stuck being here with him all the time. I'm tired of it. I just want to come home. I want a divorce. I got my body back. That whole time, all I had to do was come back to God. But I couldn't remember him. I had amnesia. But coming back to God gave me my own body as myself. Although the first 33 years of this life, I had to live out my karma unconsciously. I had to make the decision without knowing why to be a good person and not turn back into the evil bitch I ended up turning into after dealing with that dude for many years. So, all things for a reason, guys. All things for a reason. What was the purpose for my message today? People are being deceived on their journey to get home. I needed to do a warning about your intuition versus your trauma. Bad dude comes through your trauma, brings up old stuff, makes you think it's going to happen again, or that it can get worse, tries to block out the light. Ooh, I had a deep conversation. Ooh, because I love debates with 211 yesterday, right? I was like, I can't describe El Jefe, the big bad, as evil, right? Because it takes the truth, but it's the darkest part of the truth. But what gets you is that in your mind, it is true somewhere. And I couldn't figure out how to explain it, but Scar popped in my head. I was like, oh, like that, technically. When Scar came to Simba and was like, damn, Simba, your daddy wouldn't have died if it wasn't for you. That was the truth. But it was like the shadow version, the most blanket version. And 211 was like, well, that's still deception. That's still a lie. I was like, but he picked out the part of it that was the darkest truth. Now, the light truth would have been, hey, you got set up in different positions so that you could be responsible for your father's downfall. I set you up there. That would have been the whole thing. But the shadow, right? If God is the sun, it faces forward. It lights up everything for everybody. It never sees a shadow. God can't turn around and look and see its shadow, but its shadow is in the dark all the time. All it sees is God shine. All it sees is the darkness. So when it comes to you, all it's going to see is the darkest, the ugliest version of who you are. It's not going to include all the good stuff. The example that really got me was when I was watching it. The little boy's brother had died. The one day he decided not to go outside and play with him because it was raining. So when the bad guy came, he was like, "You weren't even sick that day and you didn't play with me. I died because you weren't ready," or some shit like that, right? So the boy was like, "Yes, that is the case. But I played with you every other day before, and I should not be faulted for the one day I did not come outside with you when it was raining. That is not the whole truth." So half truth, I guess, is that it's enough to make you start spiraling. And that's where I was going with Kurt. Kurt is in between, but he pretty much explained that he got drove to pull that trigger by all the things that he believed were the truth about himself and his career, and how he was a sellout because he was playing music for all these people and he wasn't even able to create the songs that he was proud of anymore. That he was going to be a terrible father, that he was never going to get over his drug addiction. He was just going to ruin her life. And he pretty much got pushed to the point based upon the belief that he was better off dead than being in his daughter's life because she would turn out horribly because of him. That's why he pulled the trigger. That was a half truth. That was not the rest of the story. The future is not counted when the deceiver is talking to you. The deceiver wants you to be focused on the darkest parts of yourself, which are the only parts of himself that he can see. That's also probably why he's called the blind one. Can only see what's in his mind. Have you ever seen somebody who's fixed in their opinion on something? And this energy is fixed on the fact that humans suck. Even when you watch Squid Games and you understand that he's number one, he's the guy that's been in the game the whole time, just watching everybody else to see what they're going to do without knowing that he's in the game too, just to say, "Y'all were shit. I knew y'all wasn't shit." But at the end of the game, he says, "There's a human on the corner. We're going to let it sit out there for such and such hours. See if anybody walks by this person and helps them. If at least one person stops or tries to get help, I'll let you go. But if he's as shitty as I think he is, then everybody goes down." That's what's going on here. People are being trusted, or I'm sorry, tested in their trust, I suppose you would say. But it's all to block y'all, all to block everybody from getting out, from going back home. So whatever y'all see on the news, I'm not tapping into the news. I might see a meme. It just wants your heart to close from love, from giving love to strangers, from giving love to people you don't know, from caring even. Because that's a trick too. Like, I can't even care about this shit no more. It's too stressful. I'm caught up in A, B, C, and D and my bills and everything to make you cut off your supply to source, which stops source from coming in here, just like the same way he got prayer removed from school. Because of free will, God has to be called in. He has to be pulled in. You have to set the tone. And that's sort of what worship music is for, even though I don't think he wants it called worship music. It's just to call, coming in the room. Come on in the room music. It's to invite the spirit in. Closing it out of schools was the start of something much more insidious, as y'all can see by the way the school shootings went on. So don't know what I'm going to name today's video yet. But it was on my heart that I know this entity well enough to be able to advise other people on how to not get tricked up. Know yourself. Know yourself in a way you ain't even think you wanted to know yourself. You got to be intimate with you. You got to know your kinks. You got to know your strange kinks. You got to know all that, because there is a being who can only see the dark in you. And that's what you're getting messed with on. So I'm going to do some posts today about your psychic gifts, understanding your intuition. And I don't know what else is going to come up, but I'm feeling dark mode, Isha. I think that's the feeling I'm going to go with there. It makes me feel much better to know why this is going on, I guess. Although it should be creepy, but knowing that all of the bad stuff is real means all of the good stuff is real too. And I'll be talking to angels. They exist, y'all. The book I made, it tells you which angels and demons are on you, which ones are channeling through you to challenge you. And the one that got my ass in a chokehold is that one that causes chronic shyness and crippling anxiety. I saw it last week because I was going through my own book and I'm like, hold on. I didn't realize how amazing this was. And I don't know how to market it. But when you're under attack, this book lets you know like which one to cast out and which one to call in. You can call in an angel to protect you from your own demon because it's like this being is two sides of one coin. You can flip it like that. Angels on. I say angels on all the time. And now I catch 211 doing it because it matters. It really works. I remember I went into the Renner Center one time. My computer had shut down. This is when I was under attack. I went in there, and as soon as I did, I was just like, angels on, right? There was a lady who refused to look at me. She was a worker there, right? But another guy came up and he was really nice. At the same time that this is going on, the really nice guy who was hooking us up, the plug, right? And so I was like, this angels on shit really work. We see a guy keep standing next to us, a dude in red and black, right? And I'm like, hey, look, he peeps him and he noticed that this guy is eavesdropping. He's a worker there, eavesdropping on everything we are saying back and forth. As soon as the guy that's helping us be really nice goes to do like this cool thing on the computer, that dude walks over to him and whispers in his ear, why are you helping him? Like, you know, you're not supposed to do that in between time. We have a protocol. I was like, angels on. But when that dude came back, that it was really nice. His meter was a little off. Luckily, whatever had to be done was already done. He had already promised it when he was still in the good space, when the good energy was running through him. Even though that man literally popped up in his ear and whispered to him. Like this was a physical human being. I don't know if it was his manager or coworker or whatever. But that's how this shit works. Angels on. You have to turn them on because some of these people are, oh, I hate to say it, killer. It's the kilopath, and another word for kilopath is shell, husk. Just people like what you saw with the Agent Smith. People that energies can go through and manipulate. Even in the case when somebody has an open heart and that is really like in their spirit, God can work through them. That's what the first guy was, the one who was hooking me up with another computer because one got messed up. But that other guy whose heart was hardened, you get used as that shell or a conduit of bad things. So now that y'all know this, try that little trick when y'all are going through something. Like when you got to go down to the court or whatever, try angels on. Just and let me know what happens. So I think that's it, y'all. Had to make sure the cup was empty. I said everything that I was supposed to say. So I can get to these readings. Okay, that was it. Y'all have a great day.